Across the worlds of Dark Souls, one may walk the crumbling stones of LordAuriyon, cradle of the First Lords, explore the forsaken halls of 𝕱𝖈𝖎𝖑, or travel south to the cold spires of 𝕱𝖈𝖎𝖑. Whilst this universe carries many that suffer through harsh times in each age, there are some who persevere accordingly. A watchful order of women who tend to flames older than kingdoms and souls. They are known as Firekeepers. Firekeepers are what the name implies, keepers of flame and fire. They tend to the bonfires, which are a sort of conduit that are directly linked to the first flame. They are made of the bones of the undead, and special swords resembling fire pokers tend to its ashes. The fire produced there isn't normal fire by any means, and it can even heal the wounds of the undead. In the first game, they were likely maintained by the followers of the Way of White, in order to enable the undead to survive in LordAuriyon, likely to allow them the possibility of fulfilling this chosen undead prophecy. Since then, it is very likely that they have been set up by any party, or otherwise, who would want the fire to be linked, or people who want to keep the undead alive for other reasons entirely. But what is this enigmatic flame that burns ever brightly within these conduits? To understand this, we must first travel back to the Age of Ancients, a timeless world of dragons and fog. This is when the first flame appeared, and with it came disparity, as well as diversity. Heat and cold came to be, just as light and dark, and finally, life and death. The first flame is what gave souls to creatures, allowing them to become sentient and alive. But there were 4 souls that were discovered that were not like the rest. 𝕾𝖈, the Lord of Sunlight, took the soul of light. The Witch of 𝕱𝖈𝖎𝖏 took the soul of life. 𝕲𝖏, the first of the dead, took the soul of death. And finally, the 𝕱𝖆𝖑 pygmy, so easily forgotten, took the soul of dark. Following the discovery of these great souls, the Lord of Sunlight challenged the everlasting dragons, and with the betrayal of 𝕲𝖑 the Scaleless, were able to overthrow them and begin ruling the world. With the War of Souls behind them, these lords established LordAuriyon as their seat of power, and built the city of the gods, Anor Londo, as a shining symbol of their reign. At the heart of it all lay the first flame, revered not only for giving life to the world, but for granting the power to shape it as well. 𝕾𝖈, Lord of Sunlight, sought to protect his flame from outsiders, and so he constructed a great chamber deep beneath the earth, a place known as the kiln of the first flame, and entrusted his guardianship only to his closest allies. Over time, as the first flame began to fade, the Age of Fire threatened to give way to an age of eternal dark. To preserve it, 𝕾𝖈 became the first to link the flame, sacrificing himself to become a Lord of Cinder and rekindle its power. He passed the power of the sun to his children, and it is thought his firstborn inherited the throne, later known in legend as the Nameless King. And whether by his command or their own design, the gods of Anor Londo devised a prophecy that one day another would rise with strength akin to 𝕾𝖈, reach the first flame, and link it once again. and as such, prolonging the Age of Fire. Now, on the subject of Firekeepers, they are more than simple guardians of the flame. Across the ages of Dark Souls, they are individuals that rise to the role, not born from fire itself, but drawn to the first flame and the fragile world that it sustains. Every Firekeeper carries within herself the essence of the flame, the hopes and fears of the world, and with it, the soul of life and death entwined. In tending the bonfire, she channels these forces, balancing the world's fate on the edge of her own will. Let's take Anastasia of Astora, for example. From what we know of her, her story suggests that she was once an ordinary maiden, based off the description of the dingy hood, robes, and gloves that she carries. The items read as follows. It is thought to once have been the white hood of a maiden, but smoke and ashes from bonfires darkened it over the years. However, the blood-stained skirt states that its true origins is lost in patches of blood. Perhaps its former wearer was maimed to prevent escape. It is therefore entirely possible that Anastasia of Astora traveled to LordAuriyon as a holy maiden, especially because her dingy set looks very akin to the maiden Astrea from Demon Souls. Of course, the lore connections between Dark and Demon Souls are not a thing here, but it is possible, though not explicitly stated in the game, that Anastasia was previously a cleric of sorts and was later maimed to prevent her from leaving her duties, and her tongue cut out to prevent complaints, calling for help, or sprouting what they thought of as blasphemy. She was then forced and fated alongside other women chosen by the flame to become the Firekeepers, in her case, of the bonfire at Firelink Shrine. In this sense, Firekeepers are less creations and more manifestations of purpose, taking shape when the world's light begins to fade, even if it is against their own will initially. Alongside Anastasia, every Firekeeper carries some form of impairment, blindness, frailty, or isolation, which reflects the condition of the world itself. A crippled, dimming, on the edge of darkness kind of world. They are born unknowingly to one day tend the flame in its weakest hours, offering humanity itself to sustain it. The Estus flask being one such thing, a vessel of the Flamekeeper's soul used to heal the undead so that they can fulfill the prophecy at hand. It is, however, interesting that Anastasia of Astora is not a blinded Firekeeper, as we are told that all Firekeepers come to be deprived of their eyes, or rather their sight, to prevent them from observing a future without the first flame. So, was Anastasia different somehow? Or perhaps the flame manifests its keepers in different ways, selecting some to see and for others to endure in darkness. In Dark Souls 3, this idea is made more literal, as that Firekeeper is blind, perceiving only a world veiled in shadow. Yet, she channels the power of humanity to preserve the fire. When granted sight, she witnesses a world capable of surviving without the flame, revealing both the fragility and the resilience of life. He also mentions that Firekeepers are not meant to have eyes, as it is forbidden. Firekeepers are fated to sacrifice themselves for the flame. Their souls are linked to it. This is why killing a Firekeeper can extinguish a bonfire, yet consuming a firekeeper's soul strengthens your Estus. It is indeed a grim balance, life for flame, flame for life. In Dark Souls 1, the Firekeeper is bound to a static shrine, forever waiting. In Dark Souls 2, the Herald walks with you, symbolizing a world in flux. In Dark Souls 3, the Firekeeper is ready to accept the end of fire itself. This progression mirrors the state of the world. Their deaths can after all extinguish bonfires of which they are linked to, and in some cases, they can even prevent the world from plunging entirely into darkness. In this way, they are not only protectors, but living representations of souls, fire, humanity, and darkness. They appear, endure, and act when the flame falters, ensuring that the world's light never dies completely. For the undead who seek to link the flame, the Firekeeper is a guide, a gate, and a partner. Without her, the path to rekindling the fire and fulfilling the prophecy would be impossible. The Firekeepers ensure that even in darkness, hope still burns brightly. Thank you all for watching. This is one of many such videos to come. If you have any suggestions about things I should do next, or perhaps even improve upon, and whether you want me to cover any game, book, or fantastical world in general, please comment down below. Or feel free to join the Discord community, where we can discuss these topics in depth. Bye now!